The AI paradox, age versus authority. When we think about AI, we tend to think of it as a young person's game, but I want to share with you some data in today's chart of the week that maybe will have you thinking differently about the use of AI. We're going to cover three things. The first is the myth and the generational gaps. Next, this twist that I'm seeing in the corporate ladder. And lastly, a founder gap in the usage of AI. But let's get started. I want you guys to lock in to the answer to this question. If I say which generation is using AI the most, either occasionally, daily, multiple times a week, which generation is that? Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X, or Boomers? You got an answer locked in? So this chart is kind of perfectly predictable, right? Gen Z is at the top of the list. 74% are using AI occasionally or more. And you can see by far they are the most likely to use AI. They're also, though, the more likely to be pushing back. They're most concerned about losing their job. But the other thing, they're most likely to be using AI for creativity, not just productivity. So they may be redefining how AI gets used. But let's talk about these bottom two numbers, Gen X and Boomers. It's a pretty dramatic drop of how less likely they are to be using AI. But I always say the average is awful. So I wondered if it was because who's working and not working that could be driving these low adoption numbers at different ages. So let's talk about this twist, which is what I call the corporate ladder twist. When you look at it by job responsibility, so those people that are more entry level and independent contributors versus team leads and managers, and then more executives, so directors, SVP, C-suite, it totally flips these numbers. You might think the entry level, because they're younger, they're going to be using it more likely, and that the older you get in your seniority, that you're going to use it less often. Well, that is not the case. So when we think about AI usage, let's not think of it just by age. We need to add the layer of are you working or not working? And then what level do you hold within the organization? So with that leadership role, you're way more likely to be using it than your entry-level people. So let's look at the founder gap. You might think that a founder would actually be more like the senior leaderships within corporate America. It is absolutely not the case. The founders across America today are more likely to be using AI at an entry level. It's probably because their hair's on fire, they're running a business, and they haven't had the opportunity to do that. But if you are a business owner and founder, maybe are you using the tools enough? It's something to ask yourself. But I was shocked by this because I thought it might be closer to the leadership numbers. So what's the so what, now what? There are three things. The first, when it comes to Gen Z, yes, they are using it the most, but it polarizes and they have the most angst about it. So you have to understand in your team, if you have Gen Z employees, it's not a one size fits all. Some will be very gung-ho about it, others will be terrified to death. Number two, the leadership opportunity. It blew my mind to see those differences when you looked at job responsibility. So leaders need to not only pave the way for their younger employees and less tenured employees, but you've got to have the vision, the training to bring others along with you. You can't assume that they are actually using AI more than you because this data shows that they're not. Third is the founder opportunity. It's also very amazing to me that these founders, those that could benefit the most, are the least likely to be using it. So if you happen to be a founder, maybe check out AI and see how it can help your business. But at the end of the day, we have to understand that AI is not just about older and younger in the usage. It's way more complex than that. Whether you work or not work, whether you are a more senior position or more entry-level position, it is very complex. So I'll leave you with the question, where is your blind spot with AI on your team? Think about that. Until next time, thanks.